When I was born, I saw the world as a playground of possibilities. If I wanted to be a fairy, I was a fairy. If I wanted to be a mermaid, I was a mermaid. If I wanted imaginary friends sitting around my table for a tea party, I made it happen. But then something changed. I turned 7 years old, and my first boy crush looked me in the eyes and said, Ayelet, I don't like you. Not even a little bit. Get that through your thick head. And I adopted a story that I wasn't lovable, that I wasn't good enough. And then what happened? I turned 10. And I had dreamt of being a famous singer when I grew up. And then I was in a recital. My song was The Phantom of the Opera. My parents, brothers, friends, and strangers filled the seats in the audience. And when it came time to hit the high note, I lost it. Nothing came out, just air. I was humiliated, and I made an unconscious promise to myself in that moment that I would never sing publicly again. So what was the story I told myself? You're a failure. You're a disappointment. And then what happened? Time went on, and I got older. I turned 20, and I had lost a friend of mine in a motorcycle accident, and she was the first 20-year-old friend that I had ever lost. It was the first time that I confronted death. And I created a belief that life isn't fair or safe. I hit a low point in my life. I had completely lost the vision of the vivacious, optimistic, idealistic 5-year-old girl filled with life and possibilities. Here's the thing. Something I didn't realize then, but now know to be so true. And that is that the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves become our reality. I mean, think about it. Stories are made up of language, and language is the most powerful tool we have as human beings. They say the most powerful words in the world are the words that follow the words I am. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. So as a child, if I told myself I am not worthy of love because my first crush didn't like me back, then that is the world that I was going to create for myself. If I told myself a story that I'm a failure and a disappointment because I couldn't hit the high note in my recital, then the reality I was to manifest moving forward was one where I manifested failures and disappointments. See, we have to understand. Abracadabra. It's ancient Aramaic, and we see it in the Gemara, and it translates into, it will be created in my speech. The words, the stories you tell yourself about yourself become your reality. See, manifestation starts with an intention, with a dream. We come into this world, we dream. Everything, the world is filled with possibilities. We have to make a request for what we want. We have to go back in time and rewrite the story. We have to understand that a lot of our narratives, so many of our stories are based on false promises, on false experiences. It is not true that I'm a failure because I missed the high note. It is not true that I'm not worthy of love because Tommy doesn't love me. You are still the essence of that child that came into this world and saw the world through the eyes of possibility. You have what it takes to abracadabra, to speak and see your words manifest into reality. Your words have power. Your words can manifest. Your job is to go back in time. Remember that core, that essence, that little girl, that little boy. Before you adopted all of these narratives that you weren't good enough, that you weren't worthy, that you're a failure, that the world is an unsafe place. Prior to that, you were just pure light. We are now in a time, Hanukkah, where you are invited to wipe the board clean of your past. You have a divine opportunity to rewrite your future and co-create it any way you like. Hanukkah is a time to gain back that childlike innocence. Notice what you're writing. What are the stories? What are the narratives that are living on the blackboard of your subconscious mind? We have got to erase those stories in order to move forward into a brighter future. You can't grow a flower garden over a bed of weeds. The weeds will eat up the flowers. You must first pull out the weeds. Become aware. Become so conscious of what's holding you back. Become super conscious of what's preventing you from actualizing your potential, from inviting your vision, your dreams back into your reality. You have what it takes to achieve greatness. You have what it takes to be showered with abundance. You have and deserve God's gifts. Just rewrite your story. Sharing is caring, so if you liked what you heard, pay it forward. Share this with a friend. And as always, happy manifesting. Happy